I was thinking this morning when I woke up and I dressed, so why do I dress like that? Why don't I put my yellow trousers and a very green coat and a purple hat like people did in the Renaissance? Lorenzo de' Medici dressed like that, so very influential. The Pope dressed like that. What happened? It happened that a funny guy woke up in Switzerland a day and he started to say, let's become serious. We cannot dress like they do. We cannot party all the night. And that's why we have the clergymen. We dress in this way and we go in that way. I would say, as a historian by education, I prefer to say, but they always write by training, I don't know why. But I would say we should learn from the past. But as a scientist, I should say that the past doesn't exist anymore. It is gone. So what's left? Okay, and smart heritage, how to design the data city, standing on the shoulders of giants. What we have is very, very weak and is fading, is what we call heritage. We just have the present, so the past is completely gone. Don't believe in anyone that is speaking to you about the past, because for sure she doesn't know what speaking about, because it doesn't exist anymore by definition. What we have is heritage, which is a future thing. It is what might be inherited. And how can we decide what we inherit for the future? We are not sure about what future generations will like, which will be their values. I am sure that I'm saving things for my kids. They will hate them. They will not like them. Might like maybe later on. So how do we work on it? Because saving things and keeping what we call heritage, it is a cost for any society. Shall I preserve an ancient building, spend a lot of money there, or put some money into the new school for my kids, or put some money in research that might save lives in hospitals? Why do I work on heritage? Why do I keep it? I think it's even more valuable than what we believe. I got, as an object, I chose a map because it was part of an exhibition on Leonardo da Vinci, which was here months ago, and I wanted to link these two events in a way or in another. But just to open the stage to this topic, I brought these three objects and myself, you know. We might say that we live in smartphone societies. Everything is here, is very, very powerful, this tool that we have here. But at the same time, I keep on writing things. I think most of you keep on writing things, isn't it? And even smartphones now are becoming so smart that you can write on them. And at the same time, astonishing thing, I am speaking to you. You are alive here in front of me. So what's going on? Since the age of oral communication, in which we didn't write anything, we didn't keep record, we didn't have any digital things. So the coexistence of technologies is one of our main concerns. And it's not only a matter of resilience, it is a matter of making sense of things. On that topic, I will run on this. There's an outline, but the most important thing is the teamwork. I move here because I want to see what I put on the slides. Oh yes, here they are. So just to say that I'm telling a story about heritage, about smart heritage, about how to use heritage in future design. Teamwork is essential. And what I'm reporting to you today is the result of this teamwork. We have 4 groups of people. that we can connect to these four people. One is history, the team that I'm leading. The other one is about complexity science, led by Xuan Chong at Nanyang Technological University. We are together at the Complexity Institute. The other one is Qingyou Lin, who is a principal researcher in data mining and data sciences at Microsoft Research in Beijing. And Mario Giberti, who is an architect, historian as well, who he's working with me since something like 20 years in mapping data from the historical landscape. After saying that, the big picture is pretty easy. So it's about moving from the tree to the labyrinth. It is not only about the amount of data, but the connectivity that we have today. Big data always existed. If you look at people working on how to wrap up data, how to condense things in encyclopedias, in books, or in other things, they always existed. The connectivity is the real point today. When a node at the periphery can become a hub. Working on this, we picked up the concept of heritage, and one of the speakers in this session, so thank you for speaking about coding in culture. So I'm a bit scared about the word culture. I prefer to use heritage, which is more neutral as a context. When we speak about culture, we get into a specific kind of heritage which is based on future politics. So it is a policy making rather than what we might use for the future. So it is based on political assumptions that condense knowledge and vehiculate it towards something more specific. Here, why do we say, I put that quote, standing on the shoulders of giants. You know that it's quite famous from Newton. Newton actually borrowed it from medieval times, and medieval times borrowed it from ancient times, so nobody knows from where it's come from. I think we could go back to the Bible, as always, so we will find it there. So what does it mean, standing on the shoulders of giants? Of course, we have all this heritage in the present, and we might use or not use it. It sounds quite stupid not to use it, because in an age in which you can vehiculate connections, so what we call metadata, information about information in decision making, it's quite stupid not to use it, And what I started to work on is a new concept of heritage, which is linked to the code thing that you were saying. So it's our code, and calling it the treasure of human experiences. Are the human experiences collected over time and space? In this way, so it's quite a common thing. So the human hand is what I call heritage, and technology is obviously the other one. How do they work? How they work is the matter of what has been started at NTU in 2014, when we were thinking at the possibility of a new science of heritage, calling it heritage science, saying that heritage is not something that can be left to emotions, to good life, to free time, but it's something so essential and so powerful that we need to take care of it with the new science. And here is what we have from the Beta Lab, from the Harvard Meta Lab, working on new city design, data city planning. And the idea was what heritage can do. And I picked up this map by Leonardo da Vinci, which actually maybe is not by Leonardo da Vinci, but anyway, it is a state-of-the-art map for that time. The map can be dated in between 1473 and 1502. Why? 1502 is the last possible date because it is the winter that Leonardo da Vinci and Machiavelli spent together in a castle in central Italy. You know that they wrote a lot, both of them. Leonardo da Vinci left us a huge amount of manuscripts, and Machiavelli wrote every day. But none of them wrote a single word about each other. Never. Quite astonishing. And at that time, they spent the winter there with Cesare Borgia. Maybe you have seen the series. Nothing to do with that man, but anyway, it's something. It's always about heritage and fiction, you know. And working on the map, if you compare that map to today's map, Google Map or Bing Map or whatever you want, a real picture, it's pretty much the same. And in 1473, 1502, it was the state-of-the-art mapping. Actually, it is the very first scientific map of a city ever drawn that we can still see. It was a new technology which comes from geometry. It's based actually on ancient Greek and Roman geometry, reapplied and reused during the Renaissance. But for the first time, something new happened. And even if Leonardo didn't make this map, as possible is, because he stayed there in that city for a month and something, and it is not enough to work on that kind of mapping, even having people working for you. Actually, he operated in the way in which he was used to operate. Picking up the best of his heritage, what did he do? He was asked to build the fortifications of this city, because Cesare Borgia wanted to have his headquarters in that city. And so the defense of the city was quite an issue for Leonardo. And Leonardo started from what? He started from mapping. And he wanted to have the best map of the city. He found it by an engineer who is possibly Danesio Maineri. He's an engineer from Milan who did possibly this work in the 70s of the 15th century, even earlier. The genius of Leonardo was to be aware that if I want to design a fortification of a city, I need as much data as possible. And I want the state-of-the-art technology. But being Leonardo, he's adding something amazing at the bottom of the map, and it is for sure his signature, is the river. Look at the river there. In that map, you see the geometry, state-of-the-art geometry of the time. Even today, we worked on it using Microsoft Bing, Worldwide Telescope, other technologies, and it's amazing the accuracy of the survey. Leonardo added the river, and the river is the most interesting thing. So we have to face nature, always. And as you can see, here, the river changed, moved, and it is one of the threats of the city, even today. The adding of these two poles is the nature and the technology, is the, I'm getting to the end, is the humanity that we call heritage, and the technology which pushes us toward the future. How can we use these kind of things? And working on that is the giant. And maybe I will close using this category. I'm working now with the research team on knowledge aggregators, which is what I think is the most interesting thing that we can do. How can we aggregate knowledge and make it available in a visual way for policy or decision makers, or for students, or for scholars, or for each of us? How can we be aware of the news that we are reading every day? So it is a matter of knowledge aggregation. Knowledge aggregation is a problem that people had at that time as well. It is a representation of the giant, actually the blind Greek god that had his assistant on the shoulders because he could see and indicate. So the position of standing on heritage is the position of, doesn't matter how small we are, but if we will be able to condense, vehiculate, and organize knowledge in an accessible and useful way, we will have not built our future, but we will give to the future generation the tools to build their own future. Thank you very much.